This week on the Internet Advisor Zoomcast podcast, SpaceX, keep looking behind your back because NASA is right behind you. Facebook is looking at getting preteens involved with Instagram, a new keyboard and mouse that you work with the flip of the wrist, and screen burning. It has some interesting details in regards to that. We'll also have the Internet Advisor mailbag and Mike Brenan with MI Tech News coming up on the Internet Advisor. Welcome to this week's broadcast of the Internet Advisor. My name is Cal Carson. We're here every week as we've been for the last 23 years, going on 24.
Stop. No, I said, stop. Don't have to stop the podcast. I meant, stop, 23 years. We'll just keep on going.
Okay. All right. Hey, this is what Zoomcast are all about. You know, you can just see, this is what you would normally see behind the scenes that would happen. So we'll just go from there. But however, let's talk about the fact that the Internet Advisor has been around for a while, and that's because of this gentleman over here, Mr. Gary Baker, the original Internet Advisor, remote from the boat in sunny Southeast Florida. How you doing, Gary?
I'm doing well. Thank you. It's nice and warm down here.
I almost said sunny South Beach, but I guess I'd have been right in that particular case too.
Yeah, a little north of South Beach. So
excellent. And then, of course, we have our chief technologist and man who knows everything to do with a screwdriver and a roll of duct tape, Ed from the Shed. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Cal. I'm on my third PC this morning because the first one went poof and the monitor went out, and the second one was receiving Microsoft updates. That was useless, so I had to pull out an old third one. And
usually you're on your third pot of coffee, and there's no coffee pot on the stove behind you, but we see the door open.
I have a bigger mug. This is the old WJR
right.
St. Patty's Day. Remember that, guys?
That's 2003.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah. We found a closet full of them. We all scammed some. So
great. Now we've got it on video. They'll know.
These are some of the best mugs. This is the best mug I've ever had. This one and my Hewlett-Packard one, they're just, some mugs are just made better than others. And look at Cal has his cup of tea.
Yep. This is my, this young lady and her husband here. I grew up down the block from her, and they got married and they had this nice little mug, and I've been using it ever since. So
sipping it.
Nice.
Lisa and Jerome. That's my buddies.
Good.
Hey, in the past week, I've noticed that iOS has been updated again. It's iOS 14.4.1, and those security updates are mostly as what's in that particular update. And I think they go back to some updates that the updates were created for some security problems that Gary brought up a few weeks back, that they had discovered some iOS flaws. And so now those have been updated. So it always makes good sense to stay updated and patched with your OS on any device, whether it's Apple or Android and that sort of thing. So make sure you go out and get that update. It's really quick. It doesn't take very much time for it to get done. And it's a quick update. As long as you've been up to 14.4, it's really quick. If you're like at 13, it's going to take a little while.
Well, that's good because Apple's so good at that. But Microsoft had an issue with their March releases this year. And so their March quarterly update for their security updates messed up a number of PCs, and they've pulled back that update. So it was causing blue screens and problems with people printing. Kudos to Apple, and I wish Microsoft had to support more devices from different manufacturers and backwards compatibility. And I'm really looking forward to Windows 10X, which is a complete rewrite meant for mobile devices like the Microsoft Duo, and that'll also be available on other select laptops as well. And then hopefully we'll get rid of that backwards compatibility issue that seems to plague these patch issues that Microsoft has always had. So I wanted to interject that, Cal, and since you were talking about patches, go ahead and talk about your next Apple update.
Well,
Sorry about that.
no, seriously. The other thing I wanted to say is that we do kid and jive, and then in the industry we really rat Microsoft out for putting out bad patches, stuff like that. But they've done a good job with putting things out on a more consistent basis and more successfully. So kudos to them as well. I have not yet met any operating system as of yet that has been completely flawless. So that's part of the game when you're dealing with IT. And the most important thing to remember is, when in doubt, before you do any update, back up your machine, and then that way, if it does go into the weeds, you got everything that you need to be able to restore it.
Yeah.
Well,
Speaking
the
of
update that
backup,
I'm really looking for.
What's that?
what's that?
I'm really looking forward to the iOS 13.5 arriving. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I can't remember which number it is now. Which the one where you can use the mask? You can wear your mask and you have the
For facial recognition.
update. Maybe
You've caught me completely not knowing at all, but I can guarantee
I
you
don't remember either. Anyway,
definitely not 13, because 13 is behind us now.
Behind us, yep. So
But that's
wasn't
okay.
it. Anyway,
Well, going forward.
put on your mask anyway, Gary, and let's see whether or not it'll still work.
let's see if it works. Here,
I know.
this. Okay, see if it works.
Yeah, what's really funny is that I keep forgetting about that. I have facial recognition set up on my iPhone, and I'll be out in public, and I'll go to unlock it, and it won't unlock. And for the first couple of weeks, I go like, something's wrong with this darn iOS, and then I realize, it can't recognize the mask, and that's the reason why it won't unlock. So
Yeah.
you have to be careful of those things. Hey, SpaceX has been big in the news lately. They've been doing a lot of flights. Most of them have been successful. As Ed has been tracking with the what are those little satellites that they tossing out?
Starlink. Yeah, they have over 1,000 up there now.
Yeah, and they did another successful loss of those. Successful.
Yeah, they lost a
launch
couple, but okay.
last week, and so they put a whole bunch more out there. But NASA is also working on a moon, a ship to go back to the moon again, and they did a test of the rockets over the past week, and it was extremely successful. And I'm really excited about it because I used to be a big NASA fan and follow the space program with Apollo really, really heavily. We'll come back and talk some more about that and other things here on the Internet Advisor. Welcome back to the Internet Advisor. I'm here once again with Ed Rudel, Gary Baker, and myself, Cal Carson, as we are every week. You can check out our podcast at internetadvisor.net, and we also have Ed's Produced from the Shed Zoomcast there as well. And if you're looking at the Zoomcast and listening to this podcast, you already know that you're at internetadvisor.net, unless you got linked off somebody else's website. Continuing our conversation, it is that time of year where people are filing their income taxes. I just wanted to bring up something that I discovered in the past week, and that is for folks who have filed their income taxes and they had collected a large amount of unemployment in the past year. Of course, if those people did not get their withholding done with that unemployment, they were going to encumber a rather large tax bill. The IRS, or I should say Congress, has authorized the IRS to be able to give them a break on the first $10,200 worth of unemployment that they receive. And so if you filed already your income taxes, they're going to have to go back and do a recalculation, and you may result in getting a refund or a less to pay. But most income tax services and software providers are programming this week into their software to be able to do that calculation, which wasn't there before. So if you haven't had your taxes filed yet, when you go in now, they can be able to accommodate that particular situation. But ask your tax professional.
Well, that started March 19th is when they were going to be doing that. So, and my daughter, of all people, notified me of this. So she's been waiting to file her taxes online. And I told her to wait another week afterwards for the exact reason that you mentioned, because they have to make the modifications on their back end. But Gary, I understand that you were you were trying to use TurboTax online and had some wonderful experiences.
Oh my God, it was terrible. I've used TurboTax for a number of years, liked it. Always use the software version.
Yeah.
Um, we promote, using online technology, right? So, all right, I'm going to use TurboTax Online this year.
I
So I
almost did the
get,
same thing.
well,
So,
I tell
so
you
how,
what.
what happened? How?
So because I have a number of different small companies, so
Right.
it's a somewhat complicated return. Not that I make a whole lot of money with any of them, but I work in this company and that company, and I have my own LLC, and with the boat here, we do occasional charters, so have to file taxes for that. It's a complicated return. I am almost done with it. Spent hours on it over 2 weeks. It probably have good 20 to 25 hours accumulating everything, not all of it, just filling in TurboTax, but getting the accounting ready on the books, but most of it on TurboTax. Just as I'm about ready to, print the PDF version and file the taxes,
Yeah.
it stops working.
Oh
Oh my
no.
gosh, it stops working. I have 5 support ID calls where they opened up a service ticket, and then closed them. And
Really?
I can get online, I can get to TurboTax Online, but TurboTax Online can't find my file back in the TurboTax system.
Wow.
So every time I get on the call with somebody else, and it's been now 7 different tier 1, level 1 service tax that I've been on the call with, opening up 5 tickets to level 2. Level 2 has refused to address this issue. The last couple, and I go through every time. They go, "Is it your computer?" No, it's not my computer. I've used 2 different computers from here. I used one from California and one from North Carolina, where I've had other people get on using my account to try to get in, have the same problem. It is not our environmental issue. It is theirs. And I keep trying to tell them that. And every time I have to go through the same questions, because that's what they're told to ask
Oh
before
yeah,
they
yeah.
can
You have to go through that
escalate to
script.
level. Yep. Before they can escalate to level 2. I spent hours on the phone to get them to do this, almost half what I've spent to actually. So now I'm starting to do it over. They gave me they didn't charge me for home and business software, and so I just downloaded it, and now I'm starting over, about 20 to 25 hours worth of work
So
down the
Gary,
drain. And they won't even address it. And this is something, if they got a DBA, a database administrator involved, they could have associated my my account on the web server with my file on the database server, and it's just a reassociation.
Well,
And
you
this
know
would be
that.
easy.
Yeah,
It's
you know that.
easy if I
It's
could
not in
get
their
the right
script.
person on the. Yeah, but
Yes.
this is supposed to be escalated to level 2, and level 2 refuses to address it
Yep.
after 9 days now.
so
This is the
Gary,
9th day.
uh, I got to ask the question because you're a man who believes in free enterprise and competitive spirit. Why not just switch to another tax preparation software?
I was going to, and that's why they gave me home and business, which is $120 if I were to buy it. So
Oh,
they
okay.
gave it to me free. So I'm going to use it this year, but next year I'm not going to go to TurboTax anymore. Not,
And the real
I mean, it's
thing,
crazy because it's not to do with they got good software. They just have terrible tech support.
can you actually extract your files from the TurboTax system so that if you went over to TaxAct or one of the other competitors, you can just import the file over there?
Yeah, I can't get to the file because it's online. It's on
Ah,
their system.
Yep.
So
gotcha.
now I'm redoing it so that next year I'll have access to it, and I won't be subject to this again.
So
But I
the
have to. It's so many hours to redo this.
So, I mean, here's an example where TurboTax used to have great support, and they probably still do on the accounting end and with their software product to help you answer questions about your taxes. But they skimped on the IT support, basically, it sounds like.
On the online version, right? Because those
Yeah.
are separate. Those are different, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so they actually have to maintain a system right? Their database system in the back end, they have to, as well as the web server accounts, right? So they have to maintain that system, and it is different than the software that they provide.
Now, Gary, is that a for free service that you're getting when you do it online that they always advertise, or is that
Oh
costing you
no,
money?
nothing's for free.
Yeah. So you fill it out for free. And then later on, after you create your online account, it's determined whether or not it's simple enough to be free for, that was what they promised the federal government, right? The
That's right.
IRS. But then for more complicated versions, yeah, this is your charges for this service.
You know, and the idea was good, right? Which is fill it out, and then we're going to tell you which version you actually need, and we're going
Right.
to charge you for that version. So if you get halfway through your, putting your information in, and they say, oh, well, you've got a small business, you didn't tell us that, or you have an LLC, but it's in your name, you don't think that, and you don't have an employer identification number, you just use your social security number. That's a different software product for them. So you don't have to upgrade. Now you can upgrade when you have the software product, but you have to upgrade it. Online, it's supposed to be easy. And we tell people, hey, use this type of system. We use it with your banking, use it a lot of places. In this particular case, if TurboTax would just get the right person on the line and on this problem, on this service ticket, they call them a support ID. If the right person would go, you know what, I can fix that in less than 10 minutes. And they could. That's with searching and testing, right? The actual fix is about a minute. But they could, with searching and testing it to make sure before they turn it back over to me.
It's
easy. They just haven't gotten anybody in 9 days now. They haven't gotten anybody to address it.
And that's always the case.
Tech One support's going crazy because they're going, we know this is not your problem now. We know this is our problem.
Yeah. And that's always the case when you call a help desk and you're an IT professional. Sometimes you can hopefully communicate that to the IT person that you're talking to on the help desk, but sometimes you can't. Even in IT organizations, it's who you know, and a lot of times you have to circumvent the IT process to, I'm just going to call this guy over here. I know he knows the right person and he can fix this problem, and then you get your wrist slapped all the time because you went outside the system. I mean, Cal, yep. I'm sure this happened to you. I'm in the IT role. I do service tickets, and I know what the fix is, but I'm not allowed to fix it. But I know if I call this person, it'll be taken care of. Oh, and I get slapped down all the time.
Well, but we're not going to.
The only thing that saved us is executive support. Right?
Well, the thing that we don't want to get slapped down with is with the clock. So we're going to take a break and we'll come back.
Soapbox.
After talking about the tales of Gary Baker here on the Internet Advisor. Welcome back to the Internet Advisor. Cal Carson here with Gary Baker and Rudel, and we're here every week giving you the best we can in technology and a little bit of humor and levity along the way, because after all, where else could you have so much fun for so little money? And you had something that you brought up this week talking about screen burn-in on devices, and I thought that it went away a long time ago when plasma screens had stopped being on TVs and that sort of thing. But you found something new?
Well, yeah. If you remember, the old cathode ray tubes would have burn-in. So when you'd have a logo on there or a menu that you'd get in the store and you bring the thing home because you got the display model, you would sometimes see when you shut off the TV a burn-in on the cathode ray tube. Then we went to LED TVs, and those are not or LCD TVs, liquid crystal displays. Those are not susceptible to burn in as much because basically you have the colors in the background, and then you have an LED or LCD screen that actually opens and closes a shutter for each color. So you do not experience burn in with LCDs. Plasmas, yes, you did. And you get burn in on those. And here you spend all this money on this plasma TV. And as Cal said, we thought we were over that, but I did not realize, and that's why I brought this up, that OLEDs or organic LEDs, which is the latest and greatest thing. And what makes them so nice is basically it's an LED that actually displays the actual color. They use organic material when they make the LEDs, and it actually displays those red, green, and the primary colors necessary.
Red, green, and blue.
Right. And well, I'm not sure. I think it's more magenta, but the other secondary colors that does the same thing.
Cyan, magenta, and yellow.
Yeah, that's it. So, and that's great. And there is no shutter. Basically, the organic LEDs are actually displaying or not. Well, apparently, the organic LEDs, if you're watching sports a lot and you have that bar at the bottom, right, that always shows those sports statistics, right, and it's black and stuff, and or you're watching the same news channel, you can get burn-in.
That's called a bug that they have down there.
It's called a what?
A bug. B-U-G.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
in the industry, they call it a bug.
Well, it bugs me that the LEDs are burning out, because you're spending thousands of dollars, in some cases more, to get a OLED, because the colors are so crisp and the blacks are black, and it just makes it look so much nicer. You can get 4 and 8K organic LEDs. Well, what are the manufacturers doing to help resolve this? Is static image. Let's see. So they reduce the brightness. You can reduce the brightness, and that'll reduce that. They have screen shift. Samsung creates something called screen shift. And I believe Sony uses pixel shift, and other manufacturers use screensavers to actually reduce the amount of burn-in that's likely to happen. And it happens because of like I said, some LEDs or OLEDs are becoming weaker because you're using them more than the others. So I thought it was an interesting article, because they're coming out with OLEDs on iPads as well, and some of the Mac products. I have not seen too many PCs that actually have it, but there are a few out there.
Yeah.
So just something to be cautious about. Use screensavers, enable the pixel shift or the picture shift features on these things. Don't disable them.
Or just turn the darn thing off every now and then, and don't leave it on all the time.
Exactly. And here's something else that I know I'm stupid. So it took me a while to catch this. And you know how we've had predictive text for quite a while when you're on your smartphone, or even in Microsoft Word when you're editing, or even editing online, or typing online, you get predictive text. What I didn't realize is predictive emoji.
No, God, please, no.
No, I mean, you've seen it. So
an emoji person, I hate those things.
How many times have you started texting, you type the word pizza, and then a pizza icon shows up, right?
It hasn't happened on my phone yet, but when it does, I will pizza that phone.
Well, that's just one feature of predictive emoji. The other one is that depending on the conversation that you're having in your text message, it'll tailor the emojis that are available for you to display. So when I'm talking to my wife about the dog, all of a sudden when I'm typing, I get all these dog emojis that pop up underneath my keyboard. So you got predictive emojis.
So if we were to take our previous segment into context, and Gary was doing texting with his software issue with TurboTax, it'd be a bunch of dollar signs jumping up, or even worse, maybe that little brown pile with the eyeballs.
Well, I was thinking of a dog squatting, but yeah, that works good too.
Oh my God. Hey guys, I want to take a time for a little more levity, and I came across some old technology, and what this is a environmentally friendly PDA that I found. And let me see if I can bring it up on the screen here for you guys so you can see it. There it is.
Wow. Ooh, I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
This one's really nice because it's got complete storage on it too. See, and you can write on it. It has read-write capability. And you can store things for a long period of time. The battery never runs out, and you never have to worry about charging it.
It's a notepad. You had me fooled there. I didn't know where you were going with this. That's awesome. Yeah,
I was digging around, cleaning up a bunch of stuff, and I came across that. Now, in addition to that, I
Palm
actually
Pilot,
came
wow.
across a real PDA as well. And this will be a flashback for you guys. How about this? An Apple message pad.
Oh wow. When was the last time you saw one of those in the wild?
Uh, Years and years and
Oh my
years
gosh.
ago. But yeah, so I came across that as well. There's some old technology that's going on. This one actually still works.
So the message pad came out before the Palm Pilot, I believe.
I
It
Um,
think
just
so.
didn't take off, right?
the message pad one, no, the Palm Pilot came out first.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yes, and then the message pad one came out. It really didn't take off. And then message pad two came out that improved all the problems that message pad one had. But by that time,
It was too late. Yeah.
it was too late. Palm, one thing about Palm is it was smaller and easier to handle, and it definitely worked in the Windows environment, and therefore it had a lot more, people to look at it and want to use it. So, I just came across that. I thought it was just funnier than heck, and I just figured I'd show you guys that. Okay, going back to the real world again. Also, you were talking about Gary was talking earlier about facial recognition with a mask on, and that was coming up in what, iOS 14.5 beta. Is that correct?
Oh, Gary, you're muted
And
for some
sometimes
reason.
when Gary turns on his microphone, we can actually hear him. He'll be back in a second. But basically, what he had
There he
Let
is.
me try
There you go.
that.
All right.
Let
Welcome
me
back,
try
sir.
that. Yeah, I said it was 13.5. It's really 14.5 beta. This should be out here in another month or so, hopefully.
Right. And that gives you the ability to be able to have your, no, it's not going to recognize your face with the mask on. It's going to allow you to unlock your phone if you have a Apple Watch with you and you use that instead of using your face recognition. Is that correct, Gary?
Yep, that's the whole idea. Is that it does go hand in hand. You'll need your Apple Watch to make this work.
Hmm.
But actually, it's kind of the sign of the times, right? If we have to have masks on, we should be able to open up, using facial recognition with the mask. So.
Hopefully, with all the inoculations that are getting, vaccinations that are getting out there, we won't have to worry about that for too much longer. Maybe by this time next year, we'll be naked again and walking around the streets looking just fine.
Hey, Cal. So if you wanted me to do the letters, look at my printer. I'm missing ink, so I'm missing a primary color. So if you wanted me to do one of our listener emails, you're going to have to read it off to me.
Okay. Well, before we do that, I just wanted to talk about a little tool that I came across, because a lot of times we have to work cross-platform in our environments, and especially working from home, people need to know little tips and tricks that they can use. There is a really nice one on OS X Daily that will tell you how to easily convert your Keynote file, and Keynote is Apple's version of PowerPoint, to Google Slides, which is Google's version of PowerPoint. And it's a really neat trick. It doesn't take too many steps to do it. But if you use a Mac, an iPad, or an iPhone, and you're using the application called Keynote, and you've developed a presentation series you want to be able to present, and find out that, oh, I'm in the Android environment and I use Google all the time. Well, no problem. They can convert it over, and in most cases, everything will come over seamlessly, and you should be able to work with it. I have found in many cases the biggest bugaboo is usually fonts. Fonts, if you don't have them on both systems and they're the same, then there's generally a problem and a conflict in that case, and it'll do substitution. So it'll still work. It just won't look as pretty as you originally created it. We're going to come back with Mike Brenan and MI Tech News and some more information for you coming up here on Internet Advisor. Welcome back to the Internet Advisor. Every week we're here giving you the best in technology from people who are seasoned, been in the business for a long time. And you can trust us whenever we give you the information. We try to be right at least 98% of the time. No one's 100% in IT. You can guarantee that. Is that correct, Ed?
Oh, good. No, I'm pretty good. but not that good. You're
Well,
right. You're right. I mean, every once in a while, you get handed you get it handed to you, and you realize you're not as perfect as you think you are, and you eat your humble pie, and then you move on, and you realize you still have things to learn, which is good.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
what makes
because
the job so interesting.
technology always has something to learn in. But I know one thing where I can't say they're 100% perfect all the time. I do know when it comes to being a source for getting information in and around the great state of Michigan, there's only one guy that I go to, one man who knows everything that's going on here when it comes to IT and Michigan. That is Mike Brenan with the MI Tech News. How you doing, Mike?
Doing great, Cal. But I think sometimes 98% right is probably good for me too. So
Then you earned that 98%, and we're glad to hear that. Hey, Mike, as always, we try to take a look at MI Tech News and keep ourselves up to date, which we find at mitechnews.com. And it seems like this week there's a startup with an electric pickup that has a bubble windshield, and it has some other features to it.
yeah, it's I'm not sure if I can pronounce it right, but it's spelled Canoo, Canoe. And it sounds like canoe, but it's a startup electric pickup truck, and remember in the days back when VW had that camper that was sort of it was a van that turned into a camper and all that.
The
Well,
little
this is-
microbus where the roof
Yeah,
would
that's
pop
what
up
it
on
was.
it.
I was trying to remember the name. Getting older now. That memory.
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
So I'm not as young as you guys. So, but anyway, yeah. So there's a electric one out there that's still kind of in the testing stage. I'm not sure if it's available yet in the U.S., but it's just amazing that how quickly e-powered vehicles are becoming more and more popular. And actually, that VW microbus is coming out as an electric version soon, I think in the next year or so, by popular demand. All those old 60s folks that remember harken back to the days of their youth and the VW van, well, they'll be able to get it electric. Because I remember posting that story about a year ago on Facebook, and I got a tremendous response from baby boomers. Gonna love it. Can't wait for it to come out. So here's another version of it, as it were.
I was really surprised. I saw a statistic just yesterday when I was browsing the internet, and I didn't realize this, but it makes perfect sense that those lithium-ion batteries that they use for the storage for these electric vehicles have dropped over 2/3 in the cost. So it used to be, as an example, you might pay for a single cell $690. It's down to $238. So amazing how they've ramped up that technology until we can get to solid state batteries, which is
Yeah.
what everyone, that's the gold standards that everyone's shooting for. Hopefully in
I've
the
been
next 10
covering-
years.
Yeah, I've been covering the auto industry off and on for about 25 years at various publications, including my own. And it was always the premise was you can't make an electric vehicle more than 5% more expensive than an internal combustion engine because people won't pay that electric premium above and beyond that. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but that used to be the thinking.
Interesting.
Well, so what you're saying is we're going to have SSDs in computers and SSBs in automobiles, solid state batteries, huh?
I did
Yeah,
not think
I
of
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And they're more, yes. Well, we'll see. There are some out there, and there's a couple companies overseas that says they might release them in limited production. We'll see. And Mike would know more about that, but I was just surprised at the price going down, how much it's plummeted.
Well, it's the old economies of scale thing. In the beginning, when you're not making much, they cost a lot, right? But as you build volume, then you reduce the price. And then it's just technology, Moore's Law. What is it? Every 18 months, things improve and double, and the capacity increases by twice, and prices tend to go down. I think that all that stuff's going on now. So
That's so wild. Hey, I understand that they're experimenting with some self-driving robots moving around Ann Arbor to take care of delivery.
yeah, it's a little company here in Ann Arbor. It's called Refraction AI. Just got $4.2 million in seed funding. There's actually a picture of this device on my website if you go to read that story. And I'm not so. That's a little kind of, even for Ann Arbor, it's a little different. But yeah, it will. Instead of having Uber pick up the food and deliver it, it's sort of a last mile kind of thing. You got to be fairly close, right? It's electric, so but it'll deliver the food to your house via this AI controlled robot. It's kind of cool. Take a look at the picture.
That'll be really nice because I just in the past week saw a Uber or DoorDash type story where the guy was delivering a pizza. And the gentleman that was receiving the pizza just happened to be watching his doorbell cam. And when the guy came up to the door, just before he set the pizza down on the porch, it flipped and fell out of the box onto the porch. And the guy picked it up, put it back in the box, and left it on the porch.
Oh.
So you wouldn't have that issue with a robot because the robot wouldn't be smart enough to do that type of thing.
Well, at least not now, but later on when they get sentient and Skynet starts and all that, then,
Well, I'll be back with the pizza.
That's it. The Terminator shows up at your door to deliver a pizza. Don't open the door. So.
Hey, how about this competition coming up on April 12th with the JMAC finalists?
Yeah, that originally stood for something because I've written stories about it. And I asked him, what does it mean? And he goes, we just changed it to GUMAC or GAMAC. And essentially it's worldwide automobility competition. And I've covered it in years past. And if you look at the list, we've got the list of finalists here. They're from all over the place. I mean, a lot of them are from the U.S. You got Turkey, you got France, you got all sorts of places. And Russia, we do cooperate with the Russians at some point. Canada, our neighbors to the north. But it's really mobility kind of related stuff, automobility kind of related stuff. And then, the winners get money. They get contracts with automakers. I mean, it's usually the case in technology where the little operations are the most innovative, and the big companies tend to buy the little operations because they're less innovative. So this is a really great opportunity to showcase some of the cutting-edge mobility technology that's available right now around the world for vehicles. So you'll be able to watch that, like everything else these days, in a virtual way online, so you can't really go to the competition physically. So if you want to get a chance to take a look at some of this technology, April 12th is the date. Check that out and sign up to watch each of these companies pitch their ideas.
Wow, that's really great. And this is taking place virtually, of course, so you'll be able to see it online, that sort of thing, and be able to cheer your team on worldwide, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, I like it because it's not just U.S. focused. We have our own particular notions of what things in mobility should look like here in the U.S., which is great. But that may not be the notion that other countries have, because I mean, you have to adapt it to whatever the country or the people, the consumers want, right? So it'll be a chance to kind of see all these really great ideas, and who knows, some of those could be in tomorrow's vehicles.
Absolutely. And Mike, anytime anyone wants to know about information going on in and around the great state of Michigan, there's one place to go. And what place is that, sir?
Well, that would be mitechnews.com, of course. Thank you, Cal.
Absolutely. And Mike, thanks so much for being on the show this week and every week as you do. We'll be looking forward to talking to you again next week as well. I'd also like to thank Ed Rudel for being here, our chief technologist here on the Internet Advisor. You'll be back next week, of course, sir.
I will. Well, thank you, Cal.
And of course, we'll have Gary Baker back as well. My name is Cal Carson. Thank you so much for tuning in to us, and we'll see you next week on the Internet Advisor.